Hello everyone, and welcome to this video where we have a bunch of new information regarding Stormworks, regarding the updates, some things we're going to potentially get, and all kinds of good stuff. So stay tuned as we're going to go through them. This is the first of my car recording sessions, so I'm driving home from work after having listened to the question and answer, and I wanted to put this video out as soon as possible with my interpretation of some of the things we heard, so I didn't want to wait and potentially lose some things out. But I understand the audio quality isn't as good and you may hear some traffic noise and me being distracted by driving. So let me know in the comments if you're interested in more of these types of videos, maybe on technical subjects where we don't have to have live video. I could just put on a pre-recording and have a discussion or some type of thing like an engineering topics or building topics, stuff like that. So on to the subject at hand. Now this comes after we've seen this video with the developers answering questions and answers. There were a lot of great questions. The developers ended up actually answering one of my questions and name dropped me a few times, which is awesome. So thank you, developers. Thank you for the game you've built, for the awesome experience you've given us all. Truthfully, watching this question and answer session was super informative but also inspiring because you guys have a great knowledge of what you've done, what you're doing, what we're kind of going to see in the future. The discussion of the workbench, the discussion of updates, the so-called not Stormworks 2, and some information we have there. So I'm really excited and happy to learn about all this and able to share kind of what I've gathered from this information. So one of the interesting things that I've actually learned from this video that I watched was a few of the things that are going to be joining Stormworks, or some of them that are going to be joining potentially. Okay, nothing here is certain. The one certainty, they did say that the fishing update, or that fishing will receive another update. So that's awesome. That's really informative to us to know that we're going to be getting some more fishing. There was discussion of crab pots or sort of that type of fishing being added. So they do have that envisioned and in mind. And it's quite neat to think that they're going to add more fishing, but they don't want to overdo it. So that was one of the things they said. They're not going to kind of make this into a fishing game, but rather give us some new fishing elements, which is expected. They alluded to a new update, major update, I believe, or even a DLC. They said that they have something planned. We were not privy to that information, and fair enough. Just as, I would have done, they said that they don't want to release this information preliminarily and have people getting excited or, otherwise. So fair enough, that's a good point. Now, some of the things that are more technical that were released consists of a few things. So the question I asked, and actually Sheppy and myself were kind of discussing in a private chat, and that's where this all led to, is the flow rate meter. So currently there is no meter or metric to be able to find the flow rate. There is a metric on the tooltip. So if you actually hover over flow or pipes, you can see the flow rate, but there's no way to capture that in terms of a dial or in terms of putting it into a microcontroller. So one of the things we really want to fix and work on is our creation of the Alta pipeline. But without a flow rate, there's no way to calculate exactly how much material is moving through a certain point. So right now we're actually depending on tickers, I believe, or ticks that measure the actual volume of the tanks, which doesn't really work so well because different people have different experiences. You may end up with more like instances with the computer's performance playing a part of this. So faster computers may determine it better or something like that. So the flow rate meter, that was one of the things that I took and asked them, and they actually said they'll take note of that. I do hope they have a chance to add that into the game. Like I said, it'll fix a lot of things with regards to the pipeline, and not only that, it'll actually end up giving us another metric to gather information. So that's one awesome thing. Then there were good questions regarding the diameter of the tracks, like tank tracks and stuff. Now, I've not built a tank, but what I could really see it applying to is, for example, a really cool small forklift, right? Where you have a tracked system, or where you have other types of rat equipment that I like to build that uses tracks. And it doesn't always have to be massive tracks. Also a drone, or just a remote controlled vehicle, like one of those bomb squad type robots that go in. They're on little tracks, so it'll be nice to be able to increase or decrease the track size. That's one thing that I thought was great. Another really neat thing is that they discuss dualies, or dual axles or dual tires per axle or per corner. So that may possibly be added as a check option. That was what was talked about in the video. They said if they could add sort of you open up your wheel in the select button and then add that it is in fact a dual wheel or dually, that would be quite neat. The person on the video also asked, or in the question that asked the question, asked to have a wheel with a pass-through. So instead of a dually system where you kind of check the box, it's more so added as a wheel that has input coming in from both sides, or input and output, so kind of like a pipe. So then in that case, you could stack a bunch of them together and end up with a creation that can have more than two wheels. In that case, you could have, kind of like a big heavy-duty trailer that carries a heavy load. You can have like 6 wheels in parallel or next to each other if you do have the continuous system. So I thought that was pretty neat to consider as well. Obviously, that would be something that they could add without too much effort. Of course, they have the framework here, but it would be nice to be able to get more power into the ground. Now, we know that the propellers that they added actually end up changing the amount of speed or power put to them. The ones with the changeable propellers. So if you put more blades, it of course puts more power out, or rather pushes more water, so it requires more of your engine. So in that case, they would do something similar with these wheels, where if you have one wheel, it's not as demanding as if you have two, but also two are going to give you more traction and all that good stuff. So I could kind of see that playing into that as well. Another thing I took note of was, so the fishing update, the potential crab pots, the fluorometer, the diameter tracks, the dually wheels, animal missions. They did kind of mention, actually he more or less let it slip, because someone asked about the updates, and they mentioned, all right, we got the updates, the animal stuff's out, and then kind of backpedaled and said it's not out. So that was a bit of a slip, unless I'm not aware of them. Maybe they were released and I'm not, not privy, or just haven't been playing the single player mode very often. But animal missions, especially rescue missions for the animals or some kind of thing like that, would be new. That is quite interesting to note. Then other things that were mentioned were search and rescue missions. Someone had asked if there's going to be more search and rescue content, and they said that they had released this man overboard missions, but and then asked or said that anybody who wants to give ideas or feedback on search and rescue missions is free to do so. So I actually have a list that I developed with Sheppy. We're going to put out another video for this with this information. I could definitely see some other single player missions being quite interesting and testing our creations and all the good stuff. So that will be released. It's nice to know that they said that they are interested in doing that type of thing. And the biggest point is that they said that they're not planning on, dropping Stormworks anytime soon, that the Stormworks parallel game that they're working on, the not Stormworks 2, is going to be entirely different, or different enough that it won't really matter. Stormworks will continue living on, and this will not replace it. So it's good to hear, because I love Stormworks. I love the interface, the sort of CAD application, the design work. They talked about this for a little bit. They mentioned, there's other games that you develop in first person mode, the creation, like building block by block. But I have to say, for me, what stole my heart with Stormworks is the fact that it is 2 phases. It's the design phase and then the testing phase. It's literally a 2-part process. And I just love that. It's very much like real life. It's like real engineering. You know, you model it in an engineering software and then you test it. You see if it's going to fail or not. So softwares are also two-part. Engineering softwares are usually two-part builds like that, and so is Stormworks. Then they gave us some other information. They said there will not be new windows released, which it is a bit unfortunate. I did show in one of my videos some of the windows, especially windshields, like if they added wider windows. And they kind of alluded to, you know, you could XML mod it, so fair enough, you can. I would have personally preferred or loved to have seen a couple more windows added, especially for vehicle windshields and maybe a few other slopes, but it is what it is. They did mention they may take modding of the map and XML modding and this type of thing and put it into the game itself. So that would give us that other, I guess, the ability unofficially to create those parts. Then someone asked about the net anchors. We and the developers took note that they may add composite channels to the net anchors, which could be interesting. But as some of you may know, in my previous video, I actually took note of being able to use the current system and just having winches that communicate to the on-off outputs. So you can kind of get away without doing that. But composite wouldn't be bad, because then you could just put the composite through your winch and have one controller ruling them all. That was really neat. Sails. Well, because we now have the fishing nets, they talked about sails and the potential of sails to, adding sails in the game. But there are some drawbacks to that, and that would really include things like, you know, making your vehicle too tipsy-turvy and wanting to fall over, you know, putting too much, you know, through wind, your whole creation may want to move and swing and fall over. So I do understand the kind of hesitation for that, but I think with some development, and then especially weighing down your creations, if you look at sailboats, they usually have like a fin underwater with weight. So you probably could, and also they really do, sailboats really do kind of, when they go, they really lean or list because of the wind. So in those instances, it would be kind of realistic. I would love to see sails personally. I think it would look really cool in the game as kind of another form of vehicle control. And with that, we were just really happy to hear, like Sheppy and myself were discussing, and we're just really happy to hear how receptive the developers were to these ideas and the discussion they had. It was really nice, and hopefully we can see some things being implemented. I know I missed things for sure in here, but that's not the point of this video. It was just a summary, some of the main points that I listened to. Of course, if you are interested, I do recommend you go watch the full video. It's actually quite interesting and informative. But I do think that there is a promising future for Stormworks. I'm going to keep putting out videos for Stormworks, videos with this information, videos with tutorials, videos of my creations. I'm going to keep making creations, rest assured. I may have slowed down because of my wedding planning. Thank you to all who wished me congratulations. But I don't plan on stopping. I do love making these content creations. I do love making content and reading all the comments and interactions from you people. So thank you so much for watching this video. Stay tuned for more videos. Stay tuned for more content, you know, creations, content, all that good stuff, interactions, even build challenges on my Discord server, all that good stuff. Thank you for watching, and until next time, happy Stormworksing, everyone.